A few months back at one of the Prince parties I was DJing at, I dropped the song America into the set. And something strange happened. Keep watching to find out what. So, the song America, of course, a Prince and the Revolution classic, a Stone Cold Minneapolis groove. I've seen the Revolution play it in recent years, always goes down well. But when I played it at this Prince party I was DJing at here in the UK, it cleared the dance floor. Now, why on earth would that happen? I mean, it was a room full of diehard Prince fans, it was a packed dance floor, and I put that song on and the dance floor cleared. And I wondered if maybe, with a lot of the anti-American sentiment going around because of the current political situation, that people were maybe not sure or not clear on what the message of the song was. So, it's time to analyze it. On first glance, the song does appear to be patriotic. Prince, in an interview himself, described the song as straightforwardly patriotic. And that seems strange in this day and age. We think of the more recent Prince that wrote songs like Dear Mr. Man and Cinnamon Girl and United States of Division, all pretty clear protest songs. But we can't judge 1985 Prince based on songs that he'd do decades later, so let's go back instead. On Dirty Mind, we have the song Party Up, which is very much an anti-war song. And on Controversy, we got Ronnie Talk to Russia, which is literally Prince telling President Ronald Reagan to try and negotiate peace and end the Cold War before they blow up the world. They being Russia, which at the time was considered a very real threat. Now that's the part that we need to look at. Prince's politics were very much rooted in the fear of Russia and communism and anti-war. So on this basis, we already have a split of opinion. The fear of Russia for many people in the US at that time led to patriotism, but the protests against wars led to opposition of the political system. So with that being said, let's look at the first verse of America. My take on this is that there's no way you can consider the first part of it to be in support of the status quo. It's clearly an attack on greed and a capitalist system, and an acknowledgement that the fear of communism was used as a way to justify rampant capitalism. The second part, however, seems to indicate that the rampant capitalism, if left unchecked, could actually bring the whole system down. And if that happened, communism would become a reality. So this isn't patriotism in the extreme radical way that we might first think, but in its own way, it could definitely be considered a patriotic take. Essentially, Prince is saying that the system is massively flawed, so we need to take control of it and not let it spiral out of control. Otherwise, we could be facing a much worse alternative. So let's look at the second verse. Once again, this is an attack on America and a system that profits off minimum wage workers living in poor conditions while the fat cats at the top of society, or the 1%, as you might call them now, take most of the wealth. But once again, all is not as it seems. The last line is a play on words. She may not be in the black as in financially solvent, but at least she's not in the red. In the first meaning, in the red means being in debt, but red is also the color associated with communism. So Prince here is acknowledging that both capitalism and communism are flawed systems, but only one of those systems provides freedom for its citizens, which is why the chorus to the song ends with the line, "Keep the children free." Now let's move on to the third verse, which is probably the verse that generates the most discussion around this song. So Jimmy's a high school dropout who didn't want to pledge allegiance to the flag. As a result, he may have got drafted and he got killed in war. The mushroom cloud refers to the cloud caused by a nuclear bomb. Now that's about as patriotic as it gets, right? Pledge allegiance, be patriotic and proud, or die in a war. But once again, there's an additional level of nuance to be found here. Is Jimmy a nothing because he dropped out of school? Or is Jimmy in this situation because he himself is a victim of the capitalist system? The same system that's paying minimum wage to little sister in verse 2 and making the money for the aristocrats in verse 1. Under that scope, the story of Jimmy is again an observation that the price of freedom in America isn't equally beneficial to all citizens. Some are aristocrats, and some are Jimmy Nothing. And before the song ends, Prince once again ties these two themes together, first by listing the things he loves about his country, freedom, love, joy, and peace, and then with the coda about the bombs going off, and with another child asking the teacher why Jimmy won't pledge allegiance. So what we have in this song is something that we actually need more of in this day and age, and that's nuance. Ultimately, yes, it's a pro-America song, but not in the extreme, radical, America is the best way that you might think from hearing that the song is patriotic. It's actually an attack on the worst aspects of American society as a challenge to do better, because the freedom that the country provides means everybody has to do their part to improve it. The harsh extremes of our political system mean that people who support the party that are in power can often accuse their detractors of not being patriotic. But the reality is that it's just as patriotic, and maybe even more so, to point out the flaws and problems in your society, because ultimately you're doing that to try and make the society better. It's interesting that we often want the ideals of the songs we like to fit into a neat box. I've seen people take this song as a sarcastic attack on America, and I've seen people rigidly stick to Prince's claim of it being straightforwardly patriotic as a very literal thing, and that the message is basically pledge allegiance, stay in line, or you're Jimmy Nothing. Hopefully this video has helped you understand that the reality is a lot more nuanced, and that Prince really gave everyone something to think about with this one. It's awesome how such an incredible track is still relevant today. Now, go listen to the 21-minute extended version, because that's the jam, and we'll catch you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, subscribe, share it on social media, all the things you need to do. Hit the little bell for notifications when you subscribe. My name's Casey Rain, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Hey, St. Paul here. Make sure you go subscribe to The Violet Reality, the funkiest channel on YouTube.